here I am again, back in the wheel room at Aloha Art Studio. I hadn't really intended on showing you folks how to center because everybody on the YouTube does that. But in this case, it'll give me time to tell you the story behind this. And all that stuff. Today, I'm going to be showing you how I use this little guy. The wonder of the roulette world. I was first introduced to this roulette wheel, and I think it was about '68. A fellow who is still a big-time potter down in LA, Gary Manji, one of the big-time crystalaries, gave me a roulette wheel, the first thing. Then in about 1984, I was working with Robert Cruz, a Dutchman who was living in Hawaii at the time. He still is in Hawaii, by the way, and he's still making pots, and he's still a top-notch crystalary. But anyway, we were doing mostly we were only doing raku at that point because we hadn't gotten into crystals yet. And I worked for him 3 days a week, and I got to make anything I want. It was a great job. I would just go in there, and Robert would tell me, you know, today I want 8-pound vases. So I would just sit down and make 8-pound vases. The only rule I had to follow was that none of them could look alike. And at first I thought that was pretty wonderful, but it turned out that trying to make things not look alike is almost as difficult as it is to make things look alike. So anyway, I was supposed to come up with some textured devices or textured pieces for raku. So I set about making all kinds of things, trying combs, doing all kinds of stuff to get the texture just right so that the raku would show up on it fine. And then I found Manji's roulette wheel in my basket. Okay, so I'm about ready to start using that roulette wheel. I just have to smooth things up. You'll notice that this 6-pound piece of clay is not very big. What I'm going to do to this demands it has quite a bit of extra clay in the side, as you'll soon see. Those are some good times. Troost and I had so much fun. We did things that so many people only get to dream about. Boy, it's a good thing I keep a clean space. I might impress you with my speed and agility. I used to make all my own ribs. I would go to the Goodwill, Salvation Army, and any place to start looking for stainless spatulas. And then there just weren't anymore. So now I'm sort of stuck. I have to find things to make ribs out of. But fortunately, I have a whole pile of ribs, so I'm not going to run out anytime soon. Okay, so now I'm ready to use this little devil. Now you won't be able to see what's going on here because it's going to be going too fast. All I can tell you is that once the wheel starts moving, the little teeth will find their way, and they'll start making notches that most people think are a chattering tool. And in a way, this is sort of chattering, but it's not really. Anyhow, here I go. Keep your eyes peeled. Now you see how the angle is here? You want to dig in the corner of this. If you just hold it flat like this, you're going to end up with a stupid thing like everybody else does. You got to be bold with this. Dig it in. See that? Now you can't really see what the hell is happening here until you get up. Now I always leave a spot up on top. There you go. Now, if you look real close, every single one of these notches is a place where the wheel has come around, found its space, and dug in again. All the way up. Then, you just can't throw from the outside any longer, so everything has to be done from the inside. And then you just stretch it out. And one of the things you got to be careful of is sometimes when you dig real deep, there isn't a whole lot of clay left in the wall. And when you, I'll tell you, when you blow out a wall, it's just going to collapse on you, and you're not going to be able to save it. So be careful. If you feel it's starting to get pretty thin, heed your own warnings. Trust your own senses. Always trust your own senses. And we got a little bit more to go here. And I like to use a rib to pull some of the water out. As you know, you got to be careful of these little devils. They're real bloodletters. Almost there. This would have been what Robert and I in those days, Mr. Truth Robert. It's always hard for me to say his name. Being basically not a very literate Irishman, it's hard for me to pronounce that stuff. Now this is pretty much one of the pieces that I made a lot of for Paradise Pottery. That was Robert Troost in those days. Paradise Pottery. We had some fun. Whew. If I can get him to send me some pictures, I'll show you some of the crazy stunts we tried to pull. But this, in effect, would have been a raku orb. And it was real fun watching what the copper would do to these teeth marks. Now, once I trim this, I'll pretty much in effect have one of those old raku orbs from Paradise Pottery. Now that it's this state, I'll let it get leather hard. I'll trim the bottom of it. Then I'll take a wet brush. Where's that guy? Oh, it's a damn good thing I'm organized. I would have impressed you with my agility and speed. Take a wet brush, just like I have a nylon paintbrush that I use. And when it's bone dry, I just brush over everything, and it knocks all the boogers off, all the bits and all the debris, and it smooths up all the stuff so it's not sharp anymore, because once this is bone dry and fired at this stage, a lot of this is pretty sharp. So take my warning and clean them up, or you'll be seeing people knocking on your door with a lawyer right behind them. I can't tell you from experience. I was always too chicken shit to give it a try. Anyway, that's the end of my video. Hope you had fun. And there it is. Oh, there's another guy on the internet who's doing this. And he uses a little copper tool. And it's really tight. And I think probably once he gets used to it, he'll find that if he ends up with something a little more wiggly and a little more loose, he'll be happier with the wildness and the texture that he gets. But then again, maybe he won't. So that is that. Aloha from Aloha Art Studio in the wheel room.